Alright, tonight, crossing something. When Pharaoh let the people go, God did not lead them on the road through the Philistine country. Though that was shorter, God said if they faced war, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. So he has to kind of take them baby steps. Alright, he knows they're free, but they're not ready for war yet, so he's going to take them another way. Alright? So Moses took up the bones of Joseph because Joseph says, please take me and put me in the promised land that God had been promising to everybody. Carry my bones up from this place. I don't want to be in Egypt. I want to be in the promised land that God had promised. So after leaving Egypt, they camped at Etham, the edge of the desert, and by day the Lord went ahead of them in a pillar of a cloud to guide them on their way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, so they could travel by day or night. Neither the pillar of cloud by day nor the pillar of fire by night left its place in front of the people. So it stayed in front of them. They would just follow this around, whatever it was. If it was nighttime, they could see. If it was daytime, at a cloud. And it was... I'm going to pause for a second. Okay, so I had to go. Uncle Jerry just texted me. It's pretty funny. There's this thing called fantasy football. And you choose your teams and you choose all your players that you want to be on there. And he's been real sweet wanting me to let me do it. So there's this auto choose, and I couldn't even do it because I can't do it on my phone. So Jerry totally did all of it for me. And I'm going against all these guys. And he just texted me. He's like, my team totally killed. And I'm beating like almost everybody. And I didn't even choose any of the guys. And Jerry did all the work for me. It's auto choose. But anyways, I couldn't even get the computer to auto choose because my phone doesn't have internet. So I told him, I said that was going to happen. It's pretty funny. So he's like, all that research paid off. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, but anyways, it's funny. Okay, then the people, blah, 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 blah. So when the king of Egypt was told that the people had fled, Pharaoh and his officials, okay, so all the Egyptians are over there with no food, no help. And this is what they said. They saw that the children of Israel had left. Pharaoh and his officials changed their mind about them and said, what have we done? We have let the Israelites go. We have lost their services. We're going to have to work. Oh, no. What are we going to do? I don't want to carry water or put bricks or cook or clean or... We're going to have to cut the grass. What on earth were we thinking? The Bible says we've lost their services, exclamation point. And I'm reading into it, oh no, we're going to have to work. So Pharaoh got on his horses, his chariots, and they went and overtook them, and they camped beside them. But the Lord caused... as the Pharaoh approached, the people were terrified. They cried out, and they went to Moses, and they said, look, Pharaoh's coming. And why don't you just leave us alone and let us serve in Egypt? It would have been better for us just to be slaves. So they're a bunch of whiny butts. That's not really true. They don't really want to be slaves, but they're griping at Moses. So Moses answered, do not be afraid. Stand firm. You will see the deliverance of the Lord He's going to bring to you today, and you will never see these Egyptians again. So God said, I'm going to gain glory through Pharaoh. Then the angel of the Lord of God that had traveled in front of them went behind them. The pillar of cloud also moved from in front and stood behind them. So God, sounds like the angel of the Lord is the pillar of fire. It went and got behind them, and the cloud went and got behind them, and it got in between them and Pharaoh. And a strong wind, east wind, blew all night long. Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and when he did, the Lord drove the sea back, and a strong wind blew all night long. Alright? So you remember, I don't know if you remember, but one time before one of the plagues, there was a wind, and it blew all night long. Just imagine the anticipation. Just super strong wind. Something really bad's fixing to happen, and they're getting that wind again. Alright? And something is fixing to happen. The Egyptians and the Israel, and the wind turned the ground dry, and the waters were divided, and the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground, with the wall of water on their right and on their left. Then the Egyptians pursued them. All of Pharaoh's chariots and his horses followed them into the sea. Alright? And the Lord came down and looked down from the pillar of fire and a cloud, and he threw them into confusion. He made the wheels fall off of the chariots, and all the wheels came off, so they had great difficulty driving. And the Egyptians said, "Let's get out of here, away from the Israelites. The Lord is fighting for them." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Stretch your hand out over the sea, so the waters may flow back over the Egyptians and the chariots." So imagine they're chasing the children of Israel across the sea, and they're in the middle, and Moses and them are getting on the other side, and all of a sudden all their wheels fall off, and then Moses puts his staff up in the air, and I can just imagine the Egyptians look, and they know what's happened every time he put that staff in the air. He puts it up in the air, and they look around, and they see the walls. The walls start coming, the walls of water. However they came, but it was very, very terrifying for them to be in the sea when all that happened. And the Bible says, then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea so the waters may flow back, and flew over the Egyptians and their chariots and their horsemen. Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and at daybreak the sea went back to its place. The Egyptians who were fleeing toward it, into it, and the Lord swept them into the sea. The water flowed back and covered the chariots, the horsemen, the entire army of Pharaoh that had followed the Israelites into the sea. Not one of them survived. Yay, God. Cool miracle. Love you guys. Have a good night. Sweet dreams.